That's right. You heard her. Welcome to the call, everybody. My name is Tim Damron. I'm with the House of Yah Community Outreach. I want to welcome everybody that's here. It is Monday, April the 28th, 2025. And we still don't have flying cars. I'm disappointed. That's all I got to say. Natasha, how are you doing tonight? Sean, how are you, man? Welcome to the call. So glad you guys are here. Natasha, what's going on? How are you tonight?
I am fabulous. We started a little bit of dirt work on the house, so we're getting that process started. So
Right
exciting.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that everybody is having a great afternoon. I thank everybody for joining us and taking a little bit of time out of your schedule to do so. But before we actually get started, I'd like everybody to know that we are not here to hurt anybody's feelings. We are not here to talk about drugs, alcohol, or anything illegal. Um, no, we're not here to do any of that. We are not lawyers. We are not accountants. We are none of that. And we always ask that you always do your due diligence, as far as if you're going to do anything in the legal realm. So we also ask too that if you're flipping through, TikTok and stuff, and this information is not for you, please just keep scrolling, but if you do have legitimate questions that you've heard about something about the driver's license or the insurance, and it piques your interest and you'd like to learn a little bit more, please leave a comment at the end, down below, and Tim and I will do the best ability to be able to answer that for you. And I thank everybody for joining.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And you know what? And I'm telling you what, it's never the same. Every now and then, Natasha has to call in sick. She's not here. And when she's here, when she's not here, there's like this big hole in the computer screen over here. You don't know who to talk to. So really, so glad that she's here. I want to welcome also Sean Gray. He's been one of my students now for a couple of years. He's also here on the call tonight. And tonight we're going to be talking about the driver's license. There's a lot of talk going on out there about the driver's license. You got these people that say that you don't need a driver's license. You don't need a driver's license to travel. You only need a driver's license for what is it, Sean? Is like commercial purposes only, right?
Right.
Yeah. Natasha, what are you hearing on that? Is that something like that, right? They're saying that aren't they looking for like fruits and vegetables in their backseat when they get pulled over now?
Right. So the main argument that I really hear is there's travel and there's drive, more or less. So when you're traveling, that means that you're private. They can't touch you. So you're going to the grocery store, you're going to grandma's house. But whenever you're doing Uber or you're doing something else, then you're technically driving, That's kind of the way that I'm understanding how they're claiming it. But whenever you're traveling, you don't need a driver's license, you don't need a registration, you don't need insurance, you don't need any of that because it's a privilege,
No,
So,
well, it's a right. No, they're saying it's a right. And then they're saying that they're accusing the state of turning it into a privilege. I think that's proper. Right, Sean? Something like that, right?
Yeah, right to travel. Yeah. Okay.
Something like that, right, Sean? Isn't that about how you hear it? And that, I mean, you have to kind of just look on the bathroom walls, and it's all written on the bathroom walls here in TikTok. This stuff, right? Is that what you're seeing out there?
Kinda. I mean, I hold a Class A license, but even if I prove to the judge that I was in my own private vehicle, man, he sticks to that commercial driver license. You can't get off of it. I haven't been able to, even if I proved that I was in my private car.
At least with that defense, right? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because that defense just doesn't work. And I hear people say that, oh, I'm not doing any commercial anything, so therefore I wasn't driving, and I've disappeared now, and I'm no longer here to write the ticket. Aha. I'm just telling you, and I mean that with all the respect in the world. I really do, because you know what? I applaud these people for even just standing up. I do. One of the things that we're going to cover in this class it's happening tomorrow from 6 to 9 p.m. And then it's a 2-day class. So 2 days. The first day, we're going to be talking about the legal liabilities. We're going to be talking about a lot of the ethics of what's going on, because you can hear what's happening here, right? Natasha is saying, and she's correct. So when you're traveling, you're in your private capacity. And here's even something trickier. Those of you guys that live in Texas, your car is an extension of your home. If you catch somebody breaking in your car, you could shoot them dead. No bond money needed. unless you're Tim Damron. They definitely charge me a bond for it. But for all you normal people out there, you'd be good. You're fine. I'm not testing that, but I'm just saying that's what they say. So how all of a sudden, Sean, are we inside of our houses in our private capacity? Because I mean, your car is your house. So how are we inside our houses in our private capacities, and then all of a sudden pulled into commerce? How, like you were saying, what's the line? Natasha, what do you think?
I think for them to pull you into commerce, what's the three things? Shoot, I just went blank.
Well, the two things that everybody else talks about is the factors of, did you commit a crime? But
Yeah.
what I'm focusing on more is what constituted them to pull you over in the first place. In other words, so think of your living room, okay, and think of your car's front seat. And legally in Texas, that's kind of the same thing. So how could some cop just walk in and just blow through the doors and say, aha, I'm here, while you're in the middle of watching TV and playing with your kids or whatever you do on the couch? How could they just pop over and do that? But see, that's something we're going to talk about in this class, because there's a real line there. Okay. And, you know, you hear these guys that they qualify the charges. You know, you get a speeding ticket and they say, oh, it's criminal, right? Oh, you've committed a crime against the city of Albuquerque or the city of Rochester or wherever you live, you know, and they act like that person with the, you know, with the city bag on his head went down and filed a personal complaint on you. That's how they act. And the cops get really empowered, don't they? You know, you ever try to do anything slick on these tickets? We'll talk about that in a second, but you ever heard of these people do anything slick on these tickets, you know, defacing them, they write something dumb on them, whatever. And then the cops get all like, hey, that's my ticket. Shoot. I didn't know a cop could write himself his own tickets. I guess he can. That's an opportunity for you to contract everybody. Look, I'm going to tell you, the one thing you guys are going to learn in my class is that this entire game is a contracting game. And can I tell you, the reason we're all scratching our heads about this is because we've been taught to measure and legitimize things based on the law. That's what we've been taught, right? I mean, what did they do? This is the law. And then they like enforce it on you, right? They started doing that back in the day when they threw us in lunch detention. You guys remember those days? So they were conditioning us for it, you know? And so now we're in this other economy, or this other matrix. And this other matrix starts pulling us into places that really we shouldn't be in. So for all the David Straight people and everybody else out there, I love y'all. And you know what? There's some truth to what you guys are saying. And that's only because y'all been watching like this much of what I've been saying. It's true. So what we have to understand is that there's a much higher jurisdiction than the court's jurisdiction that's at play. And yes, it is common law, but it doesn't quite come through the common law door necessarily, because you've got something else headed there. What it does, it comes through a different door, but it's pretty much the same thing. Pretty much shops in the same grocery store, and that's equity. I know everybody just drew a blank out there. Like, what is equity? What is this guy talking about? Don't flip it. We don't know. This is so confusing. If it is, just keep flipping, because this is not for you. But I'm going to break it down for the rest of y'all. So y'all, the ones that wanted to bail, y'all just go ahead and flip now. All right, good. We got one left. That's perfect. And one is all we need to pay attention. Because if the one succeeds, then we know that it works. Because it's easy to watch everybody else not succeed. If you pull up YouTube right now and look at people that are in there fighting in these courtrooms, and they're putting on their lawyer hats and they're acting like lawyers when they go in there. And you know, the only I mean, if you want to act like a lawyer, Sean, the only place that you can learn how to act like a lawyer is where? The TV.
Courtroom.
No, nobody goes to the courtrooms. That place is too scary and it's too far away. But if you got 65 inches in a remote, you got an opportunity. You can watch something. You can learn something. You can watch Judge Judy. Yeah, man. You can watch Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown. Hey, I was on Judge Joe Brown. No kidding. Season 1, episode 13. If you guys ever if you want to look that up, Judge Joe Brown, season 1, episode 13. This was in 2011, right before the Twin Towers got bombed. Yeah, totally. And I mean, that's how we're taught to learn this stuff. But here's the problem, you guys. Your TV is not a school. Your TV is a lens. And you know who's in control? Not you. They are. The only thing you're in control of is what programming you're going to accept or not accept. That's what you're in control of. But as far as what information out there and who's putting it out there, they're in control. So if you want to try to act like a lawyer, learning how to do it on TV is the wrong place. And we got a lot of that going on. We got a lot of people, Natasha, we got a lot of people that will talk about doing special appearances. Have you heard of that? You guys heard of that? You ever heard it? The people, they run into court and they're like, oh, hold on a second. Just hold the hell on. I'm just hold on. And then they put the bailiff in check. They put everybody in check. Then they start crying about the flag, the carpet, and everything else that's going on in there. And then the judge is sending him out for a psych eval. He's crazy. Send him out. Guys, we could do this better. How would you like to be so far away from that? Like, there's no way they could even park your car in that spot, even if they wanted to. Even if they wanted to turn like 19 or 29 people against you to make it happen. Because they tried that in Houston County, but it didn't work. And it didn't work because truth is a very powerful thing. And when you operate in equity and you present yourself in equity, present yourself in absolute truth, and you walk that line, it's not hard to walk it better than a liar. Did you hear what I said? It's not hard to walk this line better than a liar. This is why these liars don't tell us this stuff, okay? I'm going to tell you, I learned this the hard way. Believe me, I did. I'm 52 years old. And when I was 19, your boy here had an appeal filed with the United States Supreme Court all the way up. That's right. Why? Because I saw the government do something that I didn't think could be done. I didn't think anybody would ever do such a thing. I didn't think anybody from our lovely government would come see a 19-year-old kid and put him together and teach him, and make up the plan and everything on how to do a crime. That's exactly what happened to me. I was 19. I didn't know really anything. I didn't know how this legal system worked. But you know what? When I started seeing that instead of justice, it was just them. When I started seeing that these guys weren't operating like they do on TV. You can't walk in there and just tell the truth and everybody, oh, and then the music start playing in the background and everybody goes back to the Sunday morning paper. That just doesn't happen. And the reason why is because, like I said before, on that TV, they're only showing you a little bit of truth. They're only just showing you enough to keep you interested, okay? Have you ever noticed that? Remember the old court movies back in the day? Like what were those court movies? What's that guy's name?
Law and Order and all those.
No, that real old one. What was that real old one? That the Perry Mason guy. That guy. Remember everybody watched Perry Mason? Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah. And what was the older lady, the little short brown hair? What was her name? Ooh, I can't remember.
Are you talking about Judge Judy?
No, it was a little show, and she always solved her case, and little bitty woman, but she had.
Oh, you're talking about that was
Yeah.
God, I hated that show. It was the writer lady, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that one that was writing the book all the time. And
Yeah.
she was some old lady trying to scare people. Like, I'm going to write it down if you don't tell the truth. I was like, this is the most unconvincing person I've ever seen. And I was like 10 when that show came out. I wasn't believing that. And believe me, this is and this is what they do. Okay. These guys give us a very small view. And the reason I brought up Perry Mason is go watch an episode of Perry Mason and watch what they do as far as procedure, criminal procedure, but what they're talking about doing, how they're strategizing their defenses. And then go on to Netflix and go watch you an episode of Suits.
I like that show.
Well, you know why you like that show so much?
Why?
Because they're talking about civil procedure. They're talking about strategizing different things. And they're showing you how this witchcraft of law actually works. And that's what all this stuff really is. There's a lot of people that say that there's no license to practice law. They have no license to practice law. Nope. But they have a license to use all the law resources that you don't have access to. Well, most of us don't have access to, like Westlake. Okay. To get in to look in some of this stuff. You know that there's books. There's books out there. I mean, there's volumes out there that will show you how to completely undermine everything and show you exactly how the stuff is put together. But these books are all put away and they're licensed up. And this is what these attorneys use a license for. Okay. So all this stuff about the whole state, I just wanted to clear that up because I'm so sick of that. I'm trying to clear all this stuff up tonight, really. So if you guys have stuff down there, let's talk about it tonight. Let's throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. We're talking about travel and driving tonight. Okay. And I want to talk about every myth. I want to talk about, and there are a lot of these, there's a lot of myths out there. The one that we were talking about was special appearances. Special appearances. Have you guys heard that out there? I'm here under special appearance. And they think they did something. And here's what they did. They looked up what a special appearance was, and that was all they looked up. And then put their underwear on their head, and down the road they went. And they showed up in court, and they said, after 30 days or whatever the court date was, they showed up in court and said, I'm here under special appearance. After all this time is cured. And the one thing that he's missing, or she's missing when they do this, is that these guys already made a plan. These guys do this every day. They see these folders of people and this cattle. They come in and out every single day. This is what they see. Okay. And when they see all of this, when they see all of this stuff going on, this is how they regulate. This is how they do business. And they operate, like I said, not in law. Yeah, that's ironic, isn't it? Law enforcement officers not operating in the law. Who would have thought? But that's exactly what they're doing. Look at all the lying that they do just to get you to sign the ticket, just to get you to cop a plea, just to get you to whatever. Look at all the lying and coercion that these people are notorious and known for doing. And there's a thing called malfeasance. But that's completely outlined and thrown out the door because the officer is working. I'm going to tell you, you know what, guys, in my opinion, if you can't go to your job and be honest, you're in the wrong job. And I'm talking to every officer in America right now. If you can't go to your job, if you can't go to your work and tell the truth all day while you're working, tell the truth to people while you're working. Number one, you have no spine. That's right. And number two, you should get a different job. And you should. And here's why. The Bible says that no liar will enter in the kingdom of heaven. And of course, there's some other ones too that fall into that. More importantly, just addressing that, he says that anybody that lies, you're not going to enter in the kingdom of heaven. And that little badge on your shirt is not a big enough shield to block you from anything. This is why judges wear these black robes, you see. They wear these black robes because they think that this covers them. Kind of like Yeshua's blood, but this is a cloak, and they're worshiping Saturn. This is what they're doing. This is part of the little cult of personality. You ever notice in new courtrooms today, Natasha, that there's like no windows in there?
Yeah,
you ever notice that?
Yeah, I don't even remember if they have a clock in there either.
Well, they probably have a clock in there so they can watch time just slip away into the future, like the song says. But I'm just saying, for sure, you almost never see windows in courtrooms anymore. You see them in the old courtrooms. And the reason why they were in the old courtrooms is because windows imply transparency. What do we have today? Nothing. Artificial light, artificial justice, artificial claims, artificial flavors. We got everything's artificial. And I was referring to the soda. But I'm just saying, this is what we've got today. This is what we've traded all this in today. So how do we change that? How do we change that for you when you're walking into these situations? I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And more importantly, I'm going to show you that I've done it. One of the cases we're going to be talking about in this class, because that's on the second day. The second day, we're going to do nothing but law. But the first day, we're going to work on pretty much administrative claims. We're going to be talking about the bonds. We're going to be talking about more in detail. Now, those of you guys that have taken the travel and driving class, this one's going to be a little different. And the reason why is because one of my students that is joining us in this class, they've got some administrative claims that they need to do. It's very important that they do them. So we're going to focus on that. Now, how do I know so much about these administrative claims? Well, I've had a couple of counties come after me. And I'm still standing. And I'm still here. And I'm still serving Yahweh. And I'm going to tell you, not to beat on my own chest, because I give credit to Yahweh for all of this. I really do. But I am the longest and the oldest and the most successful teacher in this market right now. David Strait, he didn't come anywhere close. And I'm still going. Anna Von Wright, she's just writing letters. I'm trying to think who else. And then what's his name? Brandon Joe Williams. Oh, Kenny's hiding in Mexico. He doesn't count. And he's going to go to jail as soon as he comes back. So he's done. And Kenny Plaster, those of you guys that are, who's Kenny? We're not talking about that guy from South Park, although they have a lot in common. But he's hiding in Mexico right now. And when he comes back, we probably won't be seeing Kenny anymore too much longer. So, enjoy him while you can. He'll be out there, until they get him, and they will. Here's the thing. I don't know how you can say that you're standing up for people's rights and citizen and this and that, and then you had to go run and hide somewhere and put yourself in a hole somewhere. And there's some talk, about, when he came to my house and he assaulted me and this and that and this and that. Well, I was completely healed, and my Yahweh put me back together in 7 days. And I know that fool wasn't back together in 7 days. He's missing a few teeth and a big old bone up here. It's a big old bruise up here. And that probably still stings a little. Probably just still stings a little. But it's okay. Not bad for an old guy. It's what we do. And, it's about standing. It's about performance. And the reason that I think that I've been here so long and been in this market so long and had such success in this market is because I tell the truth. And all of my students, when they leave the class, you will never, ever hear me tell you to grandstand, be disrespectful in a courtroom, talk crazy to somebody. Because here's the thing. These are the things that Yahweh despises the most. I'm going to tell you, I love everything our president is doing, but you know what hurts him? This. He's not going to be speaking. Yahweh's people don't speak boastfully, okay? They don't speak with a haughty tongue. Oh gosh, we want to. Believe me, I mean, man, Sean, I want to like paint the fence sometimes. I'm telling you. But that's not how we roll. And at least if you want success, that's not how you roll. If you walk in there with your pride and ambitions on your shoulders here, like you're going to get justice, that's not going to happen. But if you walk in there as a righteous man, you'll leave as a righteous man. If you walk in there with a cool head, knowing who's with you, and you've already done everything you're supposed to do, and I already know what you need to do, so this isn't like any guesswork. This is something we're going to talk about in my class. See, these streets of equity that I'm talking about that these guys operate on, those streets are wide open. They don't care what race you are. They don't care if you're white, black. They don't care if you're female. They don't care if you're pregnant. They don't care if you're not pregnant. They don't care what neighborhood you live in. They don't care, man. They don't. What matters is, do you have the credentials to move on that road? And I mean that road of equity. And what I mean is that if you're using equity and they're using equity and you're both sailing on the same road, then it's just a matter of who's contracting and who's not. And in my class, I'm going to teach you guys how to contract. I'm going to teach you guys how to contract and always be in a contracting position. And by doing this, then you're calling the shots. When, you know, Sean, we had an issue. You had a court case recently, a little lawsuit, and we responded to it abruptly and quickly. Your new counsel that's going to come in and take over on this thing, because they will, this is going to go away very quickly, very, very quickly. And the reason why is because he's not going to have to do everything. Precedence has already been set. And the reason why is because we're operating in equity. They're operating in guesswork. They showed up to court with an empty Easter egg basket with nothing in it, okay? We responded with a whole bunch of uh-oh. And now this is going to go too. So this is how these streets work. This is what we're missing in these processes. This is why procedures are just destroying us out there, okay? This is why when people show up, you know, and they're under special appearance, they're failing. Natasha, why are they failing? What, I mean, I know we've talked about this a bunch of times, but why do you think really people fail the most when you see them on YouTube and they're showing up making a special appearance? I mean, are they just special?
No, I think they're taking the concept of special appearance because of the understanding of it. So from what I understand, they're trying to take a special appearance and use it as like a common law and to dispute a jurisdiction that the courts don't have over them, you know. But if they really kind of understood all that, you know, they would actually understand that if you do it correctly and you use equity correctly, you don't even have to show up into court because all your paperwork that you use for your firm mailing book is actually going to go through and take care of that for you.
Now you said the firm mailing book. Why would we use that firm mailing book? What's that for?
Because that's actually by other jurisdiction and my witnesses to show that I've actually mailed it.
That's proof of that's operating out of common law jurisdiction. And and she's right. So, and what you're just so everybody else understands it a little better. When we need performance in this country, okay, that means things have to move together. So if you look like a gear has to mesh together and it has to move together. And once it moves together, then guess what? The bicycle just went down the street. But until those gears mesh and they move together, the bicycle doesn't go down the street. The car doesn't go down the street. Nothing goes down the street. So everything is predicated on performance. So when she's talking about this firm mailing book, the performance that we're talking about is all the signatures and witnesses. So the post office witnesses that it goes. And this jurisdiction is so powerful that when you postmark it that way and you do it properly, when it gets to the court, they have to when it gets to the court, they have to move their date to match that date, the date it was mailed. Even though it got there 4 days later, they still have to go with that date. Why? Why do they have to do that, Natasha?
Oh, why do they have to move their date?
Yes.
Oh, I
So
know
if
this.
we mail it to court and we mailed it on the 28th today,
Mhm.
but it didn't get there till May the 6th, why would the court have to move that their filing date back to 4/28?
I know this, but it's been a while since we went over it. Tell me, please, because I don't
You better
remember.
be you better be in class tomorrow night. You're gonna get a refresher.
Oh my
Ah,
goodness.
Sean, come on, buddy.
I'll take a guess because you had witnesses that it got into the post office that date.
That's part of it. Okay. All right. That's close.
Oh,
And when we operate in equity, we operate by performance. That means people saw you do it.
mhm.
So when you have the post office witness and keep a record that you did it, you've got a firm mailing book, then you and the courthouse have a whole lot in common because they're a court of record. And now all of a sudden, you got a record too. And I will tell you, when I had Bandera, Texas come after me, they did. They didn't like they just corrupt town, just bottom line, and it really is. And I walked in trying to get some justice, and instead I got everything else and a whole bunch of politics. Oh my goodness, a bunch of politics. And these guys were beat and they didn't want to be beat. So the whole town retaliated. Well, then not the whole town, but the people in the court area retaliated. Well, a couple of people got fired down there for that. And this is what happens when you're moving in equity. This is what I'm going to be talking to you guys about in this class. We're going to be focusing more on that, but I'm going to talk to you how this works. And basically, it works like this. And I hope Houston County is watching. It works like this. You get the agencies to look at each other. For example, Houston County. For example, when we call the DPS crime labs and we tell the DPS crime labs that this court is trying to prosecute something that was rejected from the crime lab saying, that's not what it is. And you're saying that it is, now you have a problem. So when you move in equity, you get the two agencies to look at each other. See, you get the DPS crime labs to look at Houston County and go, hey, that's not okay. And 5.5 years on bond on a misdemeanor? Really? That's seriously not okay. And then what that does is it activates programming. And then the next thing you know, they lose their TCOT certification, which means they can't carry guns anymore. They lose their federal funding, and they're about to do that again. And all these other little domino things start happening. I'm going to show you guys how this stuff actually works. And more importantly, you guys are going to get a textbook. You're going to get a free textbook, and I'm going to show you exactly how all this stuff works. And this textbook is something you can go back to, reflect on at any time. It's a free gift for being in the class. Now, does the class cost anything? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. It's a 6-hour, 2-day class with a ton of documents, $100 book in there. Actually, it's $200 book if you get a new one, about $100 if you get a pre-owned one. And but this class will be free, or this book will be free. And this entire class, both days, $475, 2 days worth of class, 6 hours of time. And it's going to be a powerful class. It's going to be a powerful class. We're going to be talking a lot about the stop itself. I think that's where people go off in the wrong end. I'm going to show you guys some little tricks in de-escalation. I'm going to show you on the second day, we're going to talk a little bit more about law and how to deal with these guys, back and forth. I had a student come to me year before last. And, he's a Hispanic guy. He's what we call an old G from the hood. And, he's got tattoos on his neck, all the way down his neck. You know what I mean? And he's all, but he's an old guy. When I say he's an old guy, he's like my age. That's an old guy. Anyway, so maybe he's a little older, but anyway, he's around my age. He's an old guy, and he's like this. And he tells me, he says, hey, I know I haven't taken your travel and driving class, but I have a trial tomorrow on a ticket. What do I do? Tell me what to do. I was like, are you serious? Really? You're just gonna come and just hit me up like that? I mean, seriously, I'm just like, I want to shake this guy. No. You know what? I put my arms around him. I gave him a big hug and I said, you know what? Here you go, brother. You ready? Listen up, everybody. This is exactly what I told him to do. And the end result of this, his ticket got dismissed. True story. All right. So I told him, I said, you go to court. That's right. And you get that little cop on the stand. You tell him you have a right to cross-examine the police officer. Put him on the stand. You ask him how long he's been in service. He's going to tell you this. You ask him if he has any citations for bravery or any stuff like that, and any awards or anything like that. He probably ain't got nothing. So if you can go through, and now if he doesn't have any awards, just keep hitting him. Like, have you ever saved a life before? No. Have you ever delivered a baby, like they do on TV? No. Any of that stuff. Start thinking stuff like that, because all the questions are going to be no. And the more no's you get, the harder it is for them to say yes. Vice versa too, by the way. That works both ways. So, and then I told him this. Now that you've got him kind of off, a little discarded, and understand these guys only have 70 IQ. So they have an attention span about that long. So it's very, very simple. This is very easy to do. And besides, they're getting paid. It's okay. So nobody's getting hurt. So I said, put him on the stand. He's on the stand. He says, and I said, the first question you want to ask him is it your policy to get involved with civil issues while you're in uniform? The officer looked at him. He said, absolutely not. So if somebody were to say between this date and this date, you were involved in a civil issue, would you be able to remember that? And could you tell us about it today? Well, the defense is probably going to say that you're badgering the witness and that they object, and say, judges, just answer the question. It's a simple question. And he's going to say, no, I wouldn't remember that at all. So you're saying it is your policies, your department's policies, to not get involved with civil issues. And I'm going to tell you that every time you need a cop to help you do something, this is their get out of jail card. This is what they'll tell you. Oh, that's a civil issue. You could have an order from the judge that says, I'm here to pick up my kid, and she won't let me pick him up. And they're still going to tell you it's a civil issue. Get back in the car and go back to Dunkin' Donuts. Facts. Yeah, that's the world we live in today. So sorry. You should be embarrassed. I know I am. Anyway, so this is an excuse of what they used. I know this. So you know what? You should know this too. And you should know this in case you go in and do the ticket. This is why I said this. And anyway, he says, and he says, no, we wouldn't get involved with anything like that. And you wouldn't remember it either, right? He said, no. Judge, I'd like to move for dismissal for failure to state a claim. This witness can't remember anything, because this and all traffic tickets are civil citations. There's nothing criminal going on. Hello. That's all a facade. So the only part that gets criminal, that could get remotely criminal, is if you decided to, hey, I'm not going, and that's that. If you just completely dishonored it. But see, that goes back to the rules of equity, not to the rules of law. And that's why this stuff doesn't make sense. Yeah. Anyway, he moved for dismissal. The ticket got dismissed because he impeached himself upon the stand. That's what that's called, impeaching a witness. You'll learn that in Suits, but you won't learn that in Perry Mason. Why? Because they wanted all that stuff on the top shelf, and they only wanted to give you that much information. Well, now we know that information isn't enough, and Natasha won't watch the show anymore. So we had to give him more information. So Natasha would say, that's a really cool show. And millions of other people would say the same. So this is what they're doing. We're entering an age where there's a vast explosion of knowledge. And we're learning a lot of stuff. You know that they actually, there's a lot of research about the pyramids now. And I said this in Bible study not that long ago. The children of Israel, when they left Egypt, they had electricity, you guys. I know. They didn't tell us that in history, but they did. And the reason that the king went after the Jews and chased them into the, and really had to go get them, is because all those pyramids used to have an obelisk on top. and that would catch the ether in the air. This is something that teaches in school. And then they went like 20 miles down into these big conductors that are in the ground underneath these pyramids. They're finding these things right now. Back in 85, we couldn't find it, but we're finding them now. Vast explosion of knowledge. And you know what? We're finding out that these guys didn't just leave the camps and take off. They took the obelisk and turned off all their lights and left. And that's why the horse and rider disappeared into the sea, Red Sea to be more specific. That's why they had to chase them at all costs, because you just turned off. Just imagine if you turned off all the power for Austin, Texas, and they knew you did it. They'd be chasing you across the Trinity River too. Bet. And you'd be needing Yahweh to part that sucker so you could get across. And that's exactly what happened. And we're learning this just now. We're learning this just now. We're learning that we have 1,000 years of history that, goodbye. It didn't exist. We're learning that nobody's been to the moon twice now. We know this, except for some people. Just keep flipping. Just keep flipping. This isn't your channel. We know that there's stuff going on the other side of the Antarctica wall. I don't care if you believe me or not. This is happening. So these police officers and these ways of doing business, they're old. And it's up to us to learn and to get caught up and to learn what happens. There you go, Michael. See, Michael had the right answer. I should have asked Michael. He already knew. He had the answer right here because the data are the postmaster. He said it right there. Man, way to go, Michael. Glad Michael's paying attention. Just kidding. I'm just giving you all a hard time. But Natasha, you need to be in tomorrow's class. That's for sure. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be talking about a lot about administrative claims. We're going to be talking about how that works, but we're going to be talking about how to de-escalate your police stops. Okay. You heard those guys that roll down the window like this far, Sean? You ever heard of those guys?
Yeah.
And this is far enough. That's all you get. Those guys. And did you expect the officer to be nice to you when you're being a total wiener to him? But did you expect the officer to be nice to you when you're being nice to him? I mean, I kind of don't blame him. We got a disconnect going on here.
Hey, when I took your class, Tim, the story you gave, I liked it. It was pretty funny about asking the officer about his weapon, if it's loaded, and then sign the ticket under duress.
Yeah, there was another little story that I tell in the class too. And I'll tell you guys too. I don't care. It was pretty funny. And I tell him, if you got like a cop and he's really giving you a hard time and he's screaming and yelling and talking crazy and he's trying to push your buttons, recognize that he's trying to push your buttons and it's just a ticket. Okay. He's not going to end your life. He can't do anything to you. He has no power. They really don't. Okay. They're just security officers, really. Okay. They really don't have much power, and really they don't have any real legal knowledge to do anything. Tomorrow in class, we're going to be going through arrest affidavits, or I'm sorry, not arrest affidavits. We're going to be going through a probable cause affidavit for a ticket that an officer wrote up, and not just one of them. I'm going to show you a couple of them, and you're going to see these people write like they're third graders. James Freeman did a deal where he went in and he was acting, he was sitting down and having them help him fill out an application to go be a police officer and work for the city and stuff. And this dude was just painting the fence for him, just this, that, and the other thing. And he was acting so dumb. Like on the cool, most people would be like, hey man, maybe you ought to apply for something else. Maybe this is a little too much. I mean, because you're giving a guy a gun, right? This guy didn't care. And it really makes me wonder, who we giving guns to? My goodness. And I mean, and we're starting to see that. I posted a video on TikTok. 2,400 people were murdered by police officers in America last year. 2,400. You really think we have that many criminals here? I don't think so. You really think there's this many cops with their lives at risk? I don't think so. And more importantly, could the situations be averted? Yes. Do we have to chase anybody down the street so they endanger everybody else as long as you do it? Like you're on Starsky and Hutch? Do we really have to do that? Go turn on the TV in California. Every morning somebody's running. You'll see the milkman taking off down the street. And they never steal cool stuff in California. You'll notice that. They never do, Sean. They always steal like the slowest, like a bulldozer, and like try to take it down the highway, top speed, 30 miles an hour. They don't care. We're going to get away from the cops anyway. They don't care. Or they'll be in like an ice cream truck trying to get away, or they'll be trying something else. And I mean, these are the things that we're seeing, and it's just kind of becoming a problem. And we got to change this. And the only way we're going to be able to change this is if the public changes, if the public gets smarter, and the public has to get smarter. I'm going to be teaching you guys stuff in this class I don't think a lot of people talk about. We're going to be talking the second day. We'll be talking a lot about, excuse me, just a second.
We'll be right back after these short messages.
Oh, stop it. I just had to get up and move something. You guys stop giving me a hard time. Anyway, but something that we're going to learn in this class is really how to control the stop. And how do we control the stop? Equity. And that means you're contracting. That means you know what your next move is. You ever notice when we get pulled over, you don't know what your next move is? You ever notice that? How would you like to know what your next move is? No matter what happens. And it's not just some one-trick pony either. I'm talking about a few different options, okay? And a few things that you can kind of move on. We're going to be talking about how to do that. Shalom, everybody. Glad you guys are here. Thank you so much. Please like and share. Those of you guys that are interested in taking this travel and driving class, call my office tomorrow morning, okay? We're going to be, sorry, I can't talk today. I'll be by the phone, okay? I'll be by the office phone tomorrow. Give me a call. Call me on the office phone. Let's visit. I want to make sure this class is right for you before you take it. And what's really cool is after this, if you guys need help, if something goes on, say you took my class, and you're 6 months later and you get a ticket, call me. We'll fix it. We'll refresh the situation. I'll help you. Of course, we don't give legal advice. We never do that. And now how do we get away with giving away all this information then? Well, because it's all firsthand. I've been through it. I've personally walked through all this fire. We're going to be talking about a couple of tickets, a few tickets, but one of the tickets in particular we're going to be talking about is Gwen's ticket. And who's Gwen? Now, Gwen is that little bubblehead, she's that nice young lady that's with the State Nationals Rock. And she used to take care of David, that old guy, David. She used to take care of him on a personal level. Gross. Anyway, that's just, it's like, she's like 19 and he's like old. That's gross. Yeah, really. Anything to get ahead. No pun intended. Anyway. Anyway, so what happened is that she actually came to me. I've done it now. Hold on a second. No, I didn't. I thought I got in trouble. Let's see. Confirm two objects are the same. That one and that one. There we go. We're back. All right. Anyway, so we're going to actually, what happened is that they actually took, Kenny and the rest of the little rock band over there decided to come and take my UCC and trust class. And then after that, they decided they were all grown up now. But during that class, I got a call from Gwen's mom saying, "Hey, Gwen just got a ticket. Can you help her out with the ticket?" I said, "Okay." And usually I wouldn't share anybody's stuff and I wouldn't share it online. But because they decided to put it online and say, "Oh, look what I did." It's what I did. And because of that, I decided to use it as one of my templates. And actually is very good. It's the ticket went very, very well. And if you guys watched it, it was with Officer Green, and the ticket was dismissed. And not just dismissed, like gone. When you're operating in equity and you're pushing the right buttons, everything falls like a bunch of dominoes. This is how equity works. This is why you can start in a court case and then all of a sudden just be completely covered up in stuff, because equity moves that fast. This is something I'm going to teach you guys how to use and how to move effectively so you can stay in your private capacities so you can operate. Another case I'm going to be going through is a particular case where I actually got my ticket dismissed. Oh, no, I'm sorry, paid and dismissed by using my birth certificate. I don't think anybody's done that. I know there's a lot of talk. There's people that say it's a negotiable instrument and you can do it, but have they done it? Well, I can tell you I have. Another thing we'll be talking about is travel. We're going to be talking about that fine line of where travel and driving really is, because at some point you are in a private capacity, but in another point, you're also in a commercial capacity. Where's that line? If you know where that line is and you know how to stand on this side of the line, you're guaranteed to leave that situation on top and as the winner and not be a victim. Okay. And there's too much of that going on, man. There's just way too much of that going on, Sean. Something else I wanted to cover too is talk more about is this special appearance thing. When people show up and they're under special appearance and you just show up like, they've already made their plan on what they're going to do to you. They've already conspired. You know why? Because they have all these other people to do too. So, I'm sorry, I thought I saw a comment come over. So they see everybody else coming through. So what they do is they just plan. So it's up to us to make that contract. And showing up on the day of, that means you're in agreement. What did I say this was all based on earlier, Sean? Performance, right? Performance. So what happens when you show up based on that presentment that they gave you that you accepted and didn't rebut?
You perform.
And that's why the special appearance doesn't work. Because they gave no notice. There was no time for the court to accept and either answer or not answer it, or honor or dishonor it. So if you don't have dishonor or honor, you have no means of enforcing your instrument. That's why it's not working when these people go to court. They have no acceptance by the parties. They're just showing up, grabbing stuff out of the air.
You know, I was fighting a ticket one time and they had me show up 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Should we tell them why?
No, one was to, how do you plea? Then the second time was to just set the court date for, trial or whatever. And then, then the third time was, but why is it 3 times? Or why is it multiple times?
No, it's 3 times. You're right. It's 3 times. So the first time you show up, that's a good question. The first time you show up, here's what they need is this is something I'm going to cover in the class, but they need your consent. Before they can do anything to the straw person, they need to check in with the surety, the living person, and they need your consent. Now they force it, don't they? Because they're going to tell you that you need a plea. And you know what? For 3.5 years, Houston County called me into court every single month trying to get me to plea. And every single month I answered it. Filed a motion of special appearance. They defaulted, didn't answer on it. And for 3 years, 3.5 years, it took them 3.5 years to get a plea out of me. And then when I finally did give them a plea, Sean, I gave them a plea of double jeopardy, and I asked for a special trial under Texas Penal Code. I forget at the time, but that's what I told them. And what did they do? They dishonored that too. So what do we do? Maybe you just keep contracting. You just keep showing them, because now I have 2 firm mailing books full and a court record full of every single time these tyrants didn't allow me due process. And it's witnessed. And guess what that means? They're about to lose their government funding again. So y'all enjoy your popsicles and the ice cream machine while it's still there, because it's about to go away. Yeah, it's coming again. And I'm going to teach more people how to do this. For those of you guys watching in Houston County, I'm going to keep teaching people how to do this until this tyranny stops, until people that are supposed to be going to work and being honest people, maintaining the public trust, they need to do it, but they need to do it by truth. Nobody can do a good job for anybody and be a liar at the same time. Nobody can.
Hey, Tim, is it true that when I go to court, I'm the beneficiary and the judge is the trustee? No?
No, what happens is based I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. So what happens is so remember that, well, a lot of you know this, and I know Natasha knows this, but we create money in this country because we don't have any. Okay? And the number one step in creating money in this country is a lien. Remember TT&L window backwards? Lien, treasury, or lien, treasury, tax. That means that we have to have a lien first, and your driver's license is that bond. That is your commercial bond for you to perform. It's not a contract with the state. It's a $10,000 bond. And then that way, if you do anything, it gives them the latitude to place those liens against. And then what happens? They make a presentment with you. You act as such. You show up. What do they have? Performance. Presentment, performance, honor or dishonor. You're either going to pay it and perform or you're not. Now, why did they set you for another hearing, Sean? Do you know why? Because they set up an appearance bond. Mm-hmm. And then they had you show up. See, you had an appearance bond when the ticket opened. You gave a plea. They got paid. Then you showed up again because we're going to do a trial or we're going to do something else, whatever. And now they set up an appearance bond just in case they lose. So they still get paid. It's true. They really do. So these guys own the casino and they own all the chips too. And all you are is a player, a sucker. And you have that sucker in your mouth. And that's all you're doing in there, man. That's why court sucks. Simple as that. So you're going to walk in and they're going to get you an appearance bond. If you guys have any of your homies out there that, kind of get in trouble a lot, and they end up going to court with their court-appointed lawyer, and then they show up like 9 or 10 times before they actually do anything. You ever seen that happen? Well, it's because they're just cashing. They're just punching their tickets. They're just setting up appearance bonds for them to show up and get paid and get paid and get paid and get paid and get paid. That's what they're doing.
Is this getting paid like the value of the ticket, or how much are they getting paid for you just to show up?
It depends on what the lien is. It depends on how much the lien is and what the charge is. And if there's a bond. If there's a bond, then that's a real issue. and if they decide to be so oppressive that they post some big ridiculous bond like Houston County did with me on a Class A misdemeanor, $5,000 cash bond. Okay, fine. Here's your $5,000, done. But there's only one problem with that. The prosecutor only had a $2,500 bond. That's insurance fraud. What happens if you drive around with no insurance, Sean?
You pay the piper.
Yeah. And she don't have a job anymore. So I guess she paid her piper too. Just saying, this is how all this stuff works, you guys. You get one side to talk to the other side and all the dominoes fall down. It's simple as that. And once you understand this path of equity and you really understand that they leave the doors wide open, all you got to do is get out there and play. Okay? And know what you're doing. By doing that, you're going to get in and get out of that situation like you should. I encourage you guys, give my office a call tomorrow morning. If you guys want to get in this class, I have 4 seats left. 210-605-0144. I'm going to say that number again and probably a couple more times. 210-605-0144. Call my office tomorrow. I'd love to meet with you. Tell me what you got going on. And you know what? If we need to add some more time to this class to make sure that it suits your needs, this is why I want to have an interview with you guys. Okay. I want to know who you are. I want to know how I can help you even better. All right. There's a question here. It says, can the person showing up get some of that money like a percentage? No, it doesn't work that way. But in the class, I'm going to show you how to protect yourself. I'm going to show you guys how to set yourselves up. So if this does happen, okay, if somebody decides that they want to come and do something like this to you, then all of your fee schedules are already filed. You don't have to prove how much you were damaged. You just have to prove that it happened. And if it happened and it broke the law, there's already an assumption that you've been damaged. So this is another trap door in administrative claims where they really hurt us. I've seen a lot of people go to court. Man, Sheepdog 72, wonderful guy. James Freeman, been involved in some big lawsuits, really big ones. But each and every time, these guys failed. And I mean, and they really didn't fail, but they failed in their courtrooms. And the reason that they failed, they failed and they won in the courtrooms, but they couldn't get a full win in the courtroom. Let's just say that. And the reason that they couldn't is because these are their own people, and their own people are not going to snitch on each other. The way you get this stuff done is to activate the two and make sure that you're contracting. When you're contracting, you have the consent of the other party. This is why they needed Sean's consent to go forward, to enter in a plea. So how do we answer that? How do we deal with that? We're going to be talking about how to do that and how to do it properly. And it's not showing up in person. It's truly not. It's not showing up in person. So I want to thank all of you guys that are here on the call. Thank you. Thank you so much. All of you guys that are here. I've been seeing all the hearts up here and everything, man. Thank you so much. If you guys are interested in joining tomorrow's class, I have limited seating. Call my office in the morning. The office is open at 9 a.m. and I will be taking calls taking calls from potential students till 3 p.m. Central Time. After that, I got to send out paperwork to everybody, and we've got a ton of templates we're going to be sending out. Plus, you'll get the class recordings too, all that stuff. So you'll always have that stuff, and it'll be something you can keep. So I hope that worked out for you guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful time tonight. I hope you guys have learned something. And I just want to thank y'all for taking some time out today, visiting with us. Natasha, do you have anything you wanted to close things up with tonight?
No. What about the do not detain list? Other than that, with the passport, that was the only other thing that I knew that people talked about.
You know what? I'm really glad you brought that up. And we got just a couple of minutes to even talk about that. That's perfect. So is there a do not detain list? No. But what there is, what's that?
There's a do not fly list.
Yeah, well, there's a government watch list, and you don't want to get on that do not detain list. That's for sure. If you guys look up Kenny Plaster from State Nationals Rock, you'll see he's on that list. I know because I looked it up personally. And so you definitely don't want to get on that. But so can I tell you that the do not detain list is kind of like a rite of passage. If you have enough stuff, so these templates that we're going to be going through tomorrow in class, these are templates that once you file them, they're going to show up on your driver's license. If they run your plates, they run your license, all these fee schedules are going to show up. And when they see all this contracting, they see that you've already contracted and you're ready to play, they don't want nothing to do with you. They're just going to let you go. I gotta tell you guys, I used to get pulled over like Cheech and Chong. I'm serious. I get pulled over for nothing. I mean, just what are you doing walking? God, why? I mean, that was me. And this is how I stumbled into all this information. Because I got tired of being pulled over. we're going to be talking about how to operate in the private. I'm going to talk to you guys about the DOT plates that I used to operate with for over 2.5 years. And I'm going to share with you my experiences of using those plates and why I don't use them anymore. And the number one reason is because it's not very private. So anyway, you guys that are interested in taking the call, it's going to be tomorrow night from 6 to 9 p.m. And then the night after, second night, 6 to 9 p.m. 2 days, 6 hours. The cost for the class is $475. Call my office in the morning. I'd love to meet with you guys. There are a couple of ways. There's another way that you can take the class for as little as $175. If you'd like to take the class, you can actually jump in the class for $175 and take 6 hours of class and participate and be involved in the class. If that's something you'd like to do, call my office tomorrow and we'll talk about it. And you guys let me know what works for you. Let me know what's going on in your situation. That way we can help you the best way we can. I want to make sure these classes are beneficial for everybody, so everybody leaves with a full cup. That's the important part. Anyway, well, I want to thank all of you guys for being here. Sean, thanks for being here tonight. Your input is always amazing. And we just want to thank all of y'all for being here. Be blessed, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody.